Alright, my babies. Last video for now. And I have 4 other videos after this one later. Super fun. Everything is an addiction. Play with society versus playing the game of society. Pretending versus faking. To be of help, to be of service. Holy shit, I must have been doubting a whole lot of shit that day. But, so, I'm going to read you the note. Every year is not a step forward, but a chance to take a step back. And a birthday present to my bro. See it? It's a birthday present to my bro. Which means this was written in February like 16, 15, something like that. His birthday is on the 17th. But basically, that's what I wrote for him. And naturally, he was like, running forward, we're gonna kick ass. You know, it's like super motivated people are kind of just like running on the steam engine. You always have to like be putting coal inside in order for it to kind of like just to keep giving you pressure in order to be able to move. There's a big difference in efficiency, effectiveness, and stuff like this. I watched a video about the guy who created like who tried to perfect the steam engine once. But yeah, so like forgetting the fact that he's motivated, I think motivation is a symptom. I think whatever you're doing kind of gives you motivation, but if you're just motivated, that means it's one of those, you need to fill a cup of water, but you empty a full bucket just to be sure. That's motivation for me. It's like a lot of things is going to waste. And chances are we're not really looking at new things the way we're supposed to. But every year is not a step forward, but a chance to take a step back. And okay, so conceptually, time doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is the present. And how we move is the relativity behind how, the relative positions of us and how we move is basically what dictates forward, backwards, left, right, up, and down. We are in 3 dimensions, but again, like we can travel through these 3 dimensions. On top of all of that, man, there are smaller objects that we relate to, and there are bigger ones. And when I say bigger ones, like the lunar cycle, the fucking sun, and all this beautiful stuff, all that stuff that kind of like paints our night sky, allows us to see the world a certain kind of way. And it instills in us this kind of like movement pattern. Yesterday, today, tomorrow. All of these are kind of words that there is no yesterday. I don't know, there's no time that passed. You can dive deeper into this, but I don't think that's an idea, that's something I'm qualified or capable of doing right now, right? Discussing the concept of time and whatever. But so going back to like the thought process with every year is not a step forward, but a chance to take a step back. And it's because whether we like it or not, in accordance to how we set up our environment, not we as the human race, we're moving forward regardless. Now, the forward that we're either moving at a pace or we're only moving relative to other people's movement. Right? Like my dad used to say that as a kid. He's like, if 6 people or 5 people are trying to like reach the end of a line and they all start at the same point. And the people that are moving fast are kind of like taking the lead. The people that are moving slow are still moving towards the line. And the people that are like still in their own place, technically they're not moving, but the reality is they're moving backwards because every single step any other person in the race takes relative to that, they're basically further from reaching their goal. So technically, even when you're sitting still in life, you're moving backwards because life is moving forward without you, right? All that good stuff. So every year is not really a step forward because every day is a step forward. Every single thing that happens around you, any point in time, is moving you forward. at the very least, if you're actually like moving, then it's moving you forward. If you're not moving, then hey man, consider some things. Or if you're moving backwards intentionally, which is here, a chance to take a step back, what does it mean? If I were to look at the current moment with the eyes that I had 1 year ago, and then I was reading an article by somebody. It was like, if you're not ashamed of at least one thing in the past year, then you haven't done anything worth mentioning. Like, that's the price of growth. Like, ugh, right? So taking a step back is not looking back. I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to, I would want to develop my own kind of like futuristic reflective states. Because normally what we do is when we look back, we compare where we are now with, oof, wait 1 second, I think this is huge. Every time we're actually, with a goal, so okay, so here I have a tattoo here called Sankofa. So this tattoo is basically a Ghanaian symbol. And it's the thought process is the bird that eats from its back in order to be able to walk into the future, right? In order to be able to like better, strongly walk into the future. And I think most of what we do is always just kind of like look at the past, learn from it. There are many ways that we could discuss learning from the past, but here, if you take a step back, and again, the only reason it's looking differently in my head is because it's a birthday thing, right? Because on our birthday, we moved 1 year into the future. So it's not on this birthday, I'm going to take a step forward. I think on this birthday, I'm going to take a step back and be able to look at now, the present moment, from the eyes of the past me. And I think that will be the better way for me to self assess if this is actually, I don't know, the dynamic in which I reached my points. Because I have, maybe I planned stuff, maybe I didn't, maybe I felt stuff, maybe I didn't, maybe I got excited for stuff, maybe I didn't. Whatever it is, it seems like the place that I am right now is deserving of some form of event, a celebration, birthday. I don't really care. It's funny because my birthday is in 3 days. And going back and looking at how, instead of looking at the past, looking at the future from the eyes of the past allows you to see, right? Because, like, okay, so if I am walking in this direction, and if I'm looking back to see my trail, I'm looking at it from a very much, I want to say, judgmental and subjective. Because it's my personal experience that drove me all the way to reach here. And then when I look back, what am I doing? I'm kind of going like, I did this right, I did this wrong. But if I am in a place and I go all the way back to kind of like where my story started or something, and then I got the chance to take a step back and look at what's happening. And here we're using birthday, right? Because every year there's a birthday. But the reality is we can do this every fucking week. Like go back to a certain point and kind of look forward. And what effectively you're doing is you're looking at the direct map that you actually moved. But because you came back to your original position that started this movement, what effectively you're doing is you're splitting your inputs from from a subjective standpoint, which is looking back, to an objective standpoint looking forward. You actually get to see your biases clearer. You get to see the separation in this, because it's the same road. It's already been traveled. But that road talks about how we travel. And if we look at it from the front backwards, what we're effectively doing is we're looking at it from an emotional perspective. But if we're looking at it from the back frontwards, because it's already been established, what effectively we did was we moved all the way to the initiation. And then we're looking at it and going like, So this allows you to kind of objectively see the path in a way that you're looking at where you are, and then you're looking at the position that you probably wanted to be, and you're able to objectively respond to all the other points and feedback points that you were thinking about in order for you to establish how far you would want to go in this. It was super fun because like I didn't know what to write him, but I sent him a message and it was like happy birthday. And every year is not a step forward, but a chance to take a step back. And I really wanted him to consider the fact that pausing is important just to kind of like recollect yourself and shit like this. But I didn't think that what I said would be this kind of like, I don't know, I'm glad I wrote it down. It's gonna take this is going to be the process that I actually work on when I start planning my code. It will be a good thing to kind of like have your mind go through. And I feel like what I should do right now after this is pick certain points in my past to kind of like reflect on, but go to and then kind of see how I got to where I am right now. And that will allow my mind to kind of like create a different image of my story. It's a video. It's a video.